Hello everyone, my name is Peter Carr and I'm the researcher for this study, the Waterloo Professional Development Project Management Survey, and I'm going to be talking in this presentation about the early results of this study. It is a study that we anticipate will continue to be conducted for a number of years, and over that period we'll understand the development of project management as it is practiced in organizations today. We do know that project management is becoming increasingly important to organizations, and indeed this is something that features in the survey results. The survey was conducted by co-op students at the University of Waterloo who are placed in many companies, and as they have been present in those companies, they've conducted interviews with appropriate people who have responded to the survey. The students undertake professional development courses as they do their co-op terms. These professional development courses are online. And this survey is part of a course that is known as PD5, Project Management, which a large number of students take each term. It's a longitudinal study, so it's anticipated that we will have results each year, and these results that I'm going to be talking about today are the first results that we've received for the 2015-2016 study. So results of the survey will be based on the survey being conducted in the fall and also in the winter terms. So the executive summary of the results is what I'm going to discuss now, and I'll just provide you with a brief overview of what we have found. So this is a report of those early results. There has been some processing done of the results so far, and it's anticipated that more will be done in support of the full result of this year's survey results once we have the surveys that will be conducted in the winter term available to us in April of 2016. So far, 51 companies have responded to the survey. Most of those are in Canada, but they also exist internationally, mainly in the US, but also in Hong Kong and other countries. The study overall indicates that there's significant room for improvement in the practice of project management in organizations. This isn't a tremendous surprise. This is something that other studies have told us too, but the study goes on to help us understand where those improvements might need to be made. The first area that the study looked at was project management certification. Half of the respondents to the survey think that that certification is important, and of course half don't believe certification is important to their organization's success with project management. Half also have 30% or less of their project managers certified. So this indicates that if certification is important, that this is not understood by half of the organizations who responded, and it also shows that there is a significant proportion of project managers who are not themselves certified. So this answer helps us to understand an important area where improvement might be possible in the project management activities of organizations. 41% of the people who responded to the survey think that project management is weak inside their organization, and as we understand the project management survey results better and we're able to do more work on them, we'll be able to understand the relationship between this weakness and the other factors which we are looking at inside this survey. Half of the respondents to the survey use a project management methodology, a methodology like the Project Management Body of Knowledge from the Project Management Institute, like Agile Project Management, which is the one that is most commonly used by those who responded, and others. So we're seeking to understand here the different approaches that are taken to project management in organizations, and we find that only half use a coherent methodology. And again, this is an area where improvement might be possible. A third of those who use a methodology don't use it consistently. So this would tell us, perhaps, that only a third of organizations overall consistently use a project management methodology in their project management activity. So indicating that 2/3 of the organizations who were surveyed, and by extension organizations generally, have significant benefits that might be gained from the application of a methodology, if indeed it is reasonable to assume that the methodology does improve the way that projects are managed. Most respondents to the survey think that their organizations manage project stakeholders effectively. This is an interesting response because the Project Management Institute and other organizations have placed increasing emphasis on project stakeholder management as an area where significant improvements might be possible, and an area where it is commonly thought that organizations do not behave effectively at the moment. The survey seems to show that the respondents to it don't feel that this is a concern. They feel that they effectively manage project stakeholders just now. So either they are very effective at it, or they don't fully understand the need to manage this more effectively and the impact that this might have on projects. 84% use an IT-based tool to help them manage their projects, and the study helps us to understand the areas that they use this in. We also find that projects are becoming more complex, larger, more strategically important, and more internationally based. And this tells us that project management is something that may be becoming more difficult in organizations and also more important to them. So the value of effective project managers is becoming greater to organizations. Finally, we asked about the reasons for project failure. We looked at a number of areas, and in this executive summary I can tell you that changes to the project as the project proceeds was the most commonly cited reason for project failure. So this is an area that organizations perhaps need to pay more attention to, changes being made to the project after its commencement as things that cause projects to fail. The survey was conducted, to go into more detail about the survey now, the survey was conducted in November 2015, or these results which I'm talking about now were conducted then, by students of PD5 Project Management, as I mentioned earlier. And the survey was conducted with people who either supervised their co-op placement in their organization, or others who would be in a position to discuss the project management activity in that organization. 51 organizations had responded so far, most of those in southern Ontario, but also in the US, other parts of Canada, and other countries. The survey covers a wide range of industry sectors and is mostly comprised of larger organizations. There are some smaller ones included, but most of them are of a larger scale. The first set of questions was on the extent of initial estimates of the following being achieved in your organization's projects. And here the scale that we used was 1 to 5, a Likert 1 to 5 scale, with 1 indicating never and 5 always. And we found that budget was achieved, the response we received was 3.82, schedule, the average response was 3.45, and scope, the average was 3.86. And this indicated that significant numbers of projects are not completed in line with the initial plans that are made for them. No great surprise there, we know that from other research too. This is consistent with other studies. And this indicates that most organizations could benefit from better project management. The implications of not achieving the project budget, schedule or scope can be significant and expensive for organizations. So there is importance in examining the areas that projects might be improved. Again, how important do you believe certification is for project managers? We found that only 20% of those who responded thought project management certification was very important. And on this 1 to 5 scale, from not important to very important, we found that 55% of the people who responded rated this question at 3 or less. And this suggests that certification is highly regarded by many or some employers, but that half of those who responded considered it not to be of serious importance. This may reflect the fact that there is weak understanding of the value of certification, or it may indicate problems with the certification itself, that there is a sense among some respondents to the survey that certification does not provide significant benefits. So this is an area that further examination may be worthy of. The proportion of organization project managers who are certified, we asked what percentage of project managers were certified in the respondents' organizations. 16% of those who responded said that none of their project managers were certified. 48% said that 30% or less of their project managers were certified, while 40% said that 50% or more were certified. So this is an area where there is some concern and some opportunity perhaps as far as project manager certification is concerned. We also asked how effectively are your organization's projects usually managed. The scale again that we had here was from 1 to 5, with 5 being very well, and the average response was 3.61. 41% of those who responded to the survey rated this category 3 or less. Only 12% said that their projects were usually managed very well. So this seems to indicate a recognition that project management in most organizations could be done significantly better. We then looked at the methodology that organizations use to manage their projects. 53% said they did use a project management methodology, while 47% said they didn't. Of the ideologies used, or the methodologies used, Agile was the most popular of those responding. The project management body of knowledge was used by 3 of the organizations who said they used a methodology, and 1 used waterfall. Others were 8 methodologies, which were in a broad range, not always a coherent methodology that we would recognize as a particular type. The frequency of use of the methodology and the consistency of use was also graded on a 1 to 5 scale. Our average response here was 3.93, but 33%, or a third, of those responded said that their consistency in applying project management methodologies was relatively weak. So this tells us that organizations that do use the methodology for project management often are not using it consistently. 37% of those who responded to the survey have project management offices. 29% of these were opened in the past year, and one organization had closed their project management office in the past year. We'll watch this question in future years to help us understand the extent to which project management offices are being used in organizations and whether they're becoming more prevalent or less. Effectiveness at managing stakeholders, only 22% of those who responded to the survey had significant concerns about the project stakeholder management in their organizations. This finding is contrasted with the emphasis that is currently being given to project stakeholder management and improving how organizations do it. There does seem to be an awareness in the discussions around project management that this is something that does need to be significantly improved, but the survey tells us that this is not something that's widely recognized amongst those who are involved in projects. The use of technology-based project management solutions, 84% use a solution of some kind, and we asked about a range of areas that this might be used in, from including budgeting, scheduling, administration, and so on. And we found most organizations using the technology they applied in these areas. The one area that was of particular interest was the use of these solutions for decision making, and 43% said that they didn't use the solution itself to help them make decisions. And this is a finding that we don't have a full understanding of yet. We're going to look deeper to try and understand this response. But it does seem at odds with the use of the tool in other areas. We're going to investigate this further. We also asked whether this year, compared to last year, projects were becoming more or less complex, and people told us they were. We asked about whether they were becoming larger or smaller in scale, and they said larger. Whether the strategic importance of the projects was increasing or decreasing, they told us it was increasing. And the extent to which international projects were increasing or decreasing as a proportion of projects in their organizations, and we found that they were also increasing to some degree. So this tells us that projects are becoming more complex and larger, more strategically important, and more international compared to last year. Finally, we asked about the reasons for project failure. This slide shows you the various areas that we looked at, but the ones which were most commonly responded to were changes to the project, poor project planning, and senior management decisions and poor scheduling. These were the more popular areas. Inadequate resources was an important area too. But here we can see the areas that organizations believed impacted their project failure. So this short presentation has described the areas that this survey covered. Further work is now going to be undertaken to better understand these responses and also to integrate them with the responses that we receive in the winter term. I would just like to thank the students who conducted the survey in their organizations. Your work is valuable to us. It's helping us to understand project management in organizations today.